Good morning, dear students. Today we are going to see about a new concept in grammar called the tenses. So, as we all know that our everyday skills we use in English language, especially our listening, reading, writing, and speaking skills, which we call it as LSRW. It is always related to grammar and the tenses. So, to give you a brief introduction about the contents, we have an introduction about what is tense and from which word it was derived. Then we have a classification based on the time frame. Then we have a classification based on the aspect, and then you have a block diagram of tenses and what are the rules to be followed when you are writing down the present tense, past tense, and the future tense. Then you have the list of examples. So let us proceed to the class. To give you a small introduction, the word tense is actually derived from the Latin word tempus, which means time. So if you look at this word tense, it is always related to the time, concept of time and action, because we always perform a particular action in a period of time. It can be either in the present or in the past or in the future. So related to our time and action, we always classify tense, or we can define tense. Now only if we are able to understand the sense of how to use a tense, we can ever incorporate this skill in our listening, reading, writing, and speaking activity. So as I already told you that the word tense is related to the verb as well as the time. Now the verb is actually indicating the time of action or the event or condition by changing its form. So we are going to definitely do an action in a particular period of time. For example, I listen to grammar class. So listen, the word listen is the action here, and the activity that you're doing is you are actually listening to a grammar class, and the tense is the present tense because you are doing it in the present scenario. So hence we relate tense to time and action. Now based on the time frame, actually based on whether you are doing the action yesterday or whether you are going to do it today or whether you will be doing it tomorrow, it is actually classified into three: present tense, past tense, and future tense. Now let me give you a gist of what is the present tense, what is past tense, and what is future tense. Now present tense is nothing but you are expressing an action that happens repeatedly, reoccurringly. That means it happens again and again, and that action or situation happens only in the present, only in that particular day. Now it can also be a fact or a truth. For example, the earth revolves around the sun. That means it is an action that is unchanging. It can never be changed. The earth only will revolve around the sun. It is repeating. The earth does not revolve around the sun for a day, but it revolves forever and ever. And it is reoccurring. It is happening again and again. Now it is a situation that exists in the present and will exist forever. And it is a widespread fact that the earth revolves around the sun. So that you can give an example of a present tense. Now what is past tense? Now that is related to an action or a situation that has already been started and completed in the past. For example, I went to the beach yesterday. That means it is over. The activity had started yesterday and it was completed yesterday in the past. So it was started and finished in the past. Next we go on to the future tense. Now this will express an action or a situation that will occur in the future. That means you're going to talk about something that is going to happen tomorrow. I will go to the church tomorrow, or I will listen to the class tomorrow. So that event or an incident is going to happen in the future. It has not happened in the present, and it has not happened in the past. So that is what is known as future tense. Now for example, I've already given you examples. Now we are going to classify these verb tenses. Now why do we call them as verb tenses? As I already told you, the word tense is related with the two categories, that is the action as well as the time. Now based on this particular aspect or concept, now you can classify them into four types. First one is the simple or indefinite, continuous or progressive, perfect or complete and perfect continuous. So how do we say that? See, for example, in the next slide, there are 12 possible verb tenses. So the verb tenses are broadly classified first into present, past and the future. Now if you say in the present, you still have a further classification of 4 type of tenses. What are they? Present indefinite or simple present tense, present continuous, present perfect and present perfect continuous. Similarly, for the past tense you have another 4 possible type of verb tenses. So they are past indefinite or past simple, past continuous, past perfect and past perfect continuous. In the same way it happens for the future tense. Now in future tense, if you see, there is a possible of 4 different verb tenses. Now what are they? Simple future or indefinite future, future continuous, future perfect and future perfect continuous. So these are the possible 12 type of verb tenses that can be seen. Now we go for the next one. Now there is a set of rules as to how to write these tenses. Now what are the rules? The first one, if you see, we are going to talk only about the 2 different types. The first 2 different types. How to write a simple present tense and how to write a continuous present tense. Similar way, how to write a simple past tense and how to write a continuous past tense. Now the first one, if you see in the simple form or the simple present tense, the verb will end with an S or an ES. And the next one, if you see in progressive or continuous form, you can use the verb am, is, are. Now in which context can we use am? For example, when I am saying about myself, I am listening to the class, then you can use the verb am. Now for the verb, you are going to add an ing to make it continuous. That is a progressive or a continuous form. Now what do you mean by continuous? That the incident is going on. The action is continuing on. So therefore we add an ing to the verb. Now when do we use an am? When I denote myself. I am listening to the class. Now when I am replacing myself with a pronoun. For example, when I talk about a he or a she. He is listening to the class. Therefore the verb is replaced from am to is. Now can you see the difference? He is listening to the class. Now when I denote a plural, for example, plural form of noun. When there are 40 children in my class, I have to say that they are listening to the class. So that time my verb will change from is to are. So that is the difference. Now when we go to the past tense is simple. You just have to say that I played or she played or he played. Okay, you just add an ed to the verb to represent the finishing aspect of the verb. Now it is over. The action has started and it was over. Now when you say past continuous, you can use 2 verbs, was and were. For example, I was listening to grammar class or I was listening to the class. He was listening to the class. She was listening to the class. Now, when you are going to use a pronoun, for example, for past tense, you needn't change the verb was. You can use the same verb was, but when you are going to use a plural form of noun, that means when I am going to denote the whole class, or when I am saying that my whole class were playing, okay, or my whole class or my class were listening to grammar. So in that case, I will replace the verb was with were and I will add an ing to the verb to make it continuous. So that is what I wanted to explain in class today. The difference between the present, simple present and the simple continuous. Then the simple past and the past continuous. Now as we already told you, based on the aspect of the time and the action, the present tense can be given as simple present, present continuous, present perfect and present perfect continuous. Now let us see the definition for simple present tense. It is used to describe an action or an event or a condition that is happening in the present at the moment. I play, He plays, she plays. Can you see the example now? I am replacing the I concept with the pronoun he and she. Therefore, I will have to add an S to the verb, plays. So that is the rule we follow that we gave in the tabular column. Now we go on to the next one, present continuous form. So what is a present continuous form? It is actually stressing on a concept that the action or event is continuing. It is going on. For example, I am playing. But when you replace the I concept with the pronoun he or she, you again replace the verb with is. As I previously told you, the verb am is replaced with is. So then we write it as is. He or she is playing. Okay. So the verb play is again combined with ing to make it continuous. Then the next one, they are playing. So when I am replacing it with the plural form, when I say that more than 2 or 3 children are playing, then the verb will be replaced with are playing. Can you identify? Are. I am going to replace it with are. Is replaced with are, and therefore again I write playing. I am adding ing to the verb to make it continuous. So this is the example for present continuous. Now let's go to the simple past tense. Now as I already told you, based on the concept of the action and time, we are classifying past tense into 4 types. Okay. So the past simple past, that is also known as past indefinite, past continuous tense, past perfect tense, and past perfect continuous tense. Now let us see what is past simple past tense. It is used to describe an action or an event or a condition that occurred in the past. For example, I played. He played or she played. Okay. So when I replace the concept of I with the pronoun, then I use he or she. And again, to end the action, you add an ed to the verb. So it indicates that the action is over. Played, listened. Okay. You are adding an ed to the verb. Now what is past continuous tense? Simple. The past continuous tense is nothing but it is an action that was described in the past, but still it was happening in the past. It was ongoing or continuing in the past. For example, I was playing, he was playing or she was playing, you were playing, they were playing. Now can you see the I concept is followed by the word was playing. Okay. It is the was actually represents the past tense, and playing it represents the continuous form. So past continuous. When I replace the I form with he or she, we can see, you use the same verb. He or she was playing. Now when you're going to denote another person, you, then I'm going to change it to were. The verb will automatically change to were. And then when you use for more than 3 or 4 people, then you can use it they. They were playing. Okay, they were playing. You were playing. So this is the simple concept that I wanted to enlighten today. So in today's class, we first saw what is a tense. Now we saw the introduction of a tense. It is actually derived from a Latin word tempus, which means time, and it is related to time and action. And you already know that it is actually based on the time frame. It can be classified into 3 types: present, past, and future. We also gave the definitions for present tense, past tense, and future tense. And based on a particular aspect, whether it's going to continue or whether it's going to end, and whether it is going to have another action, you can classify them into possible 12 types. Each verb tense can be classified into 4 types. Therefore, it counts up to 12. And we saw a list of rules as to how to write down a simple present tense and a present continuous tense, and a simple past tense, and how to write a past continuous tense. And as I told you that these are the 4 viable past present tenses that can be used. Again, we saw the definition of a present tense and the 2 examples and how the verb changes. Now from play to place. Now the present continuous, we saw the definition of the present continuous, and we also saw about the verb that has been changed from am to is when you use a pronoun, and when you use a plural, how the verb changes from is to are, and you add an ing to the end of the verb. Then the next one we saw about the past tense. We saw the definition of the past tense and we gave two examples. I played, she played. You are going to add an ed to the verb to say that it is completed. The action is over. And past continuous tense, it is actually used to describe an action that was ongoing or continuing in the past. If you see the example, I was playing, he was playing, and she was playing, you were playing, and they were playing. So you can see the replacement of the verb from was to were when you go for the plural form. So thank you, children.